Hello everybody, my name is Ekay and you're watching EkayTech. So today we are taking a look at a game called Metro Exodus, which is a game that was released on the 15th of February. It is a very new game, it is very demanding. The game does have a built-in benchmark system, which is something that I'm going to run before we start the actual in-game benchmark. As you can see on the screen right now, I have the benchmark running in the background, I have a graph in the foreground, and you should be able to see the performance that I had with my tests. I ran every single test twice just to confirm the results, and the results were pretty much identical in both attempts, so I just went with the one that I got first. Now on the left side you can see the low settings, then you move on to the medium settings, high settings, ultra settings and extreme settings. One important thing to keep in mind is that the left bar of every section is the minimum FPS, then the middle one is the medium FPS and the right one is the maximum FPS. As you can see, the low FPS is very low in all of them except for the low settings one. I'm not quite certain this is very representative of the actual in-game results, but it's fairly interesting to see that especially high, ultra and extreme all end with single digit performance results with the minimum FPS. So is it something that's very important? I'm not quite sure, but just, it's worth noting. Then we move on to the maximum FPS, which is also interesting. You can see it's actually a very stable decline. It starts out very high, then it moves down a bit, and it just gradually goes into the 80s, high 70s, and then once you go to extreme, which is always a bit of a tricky subject since usually those settings don't really matter for graphical fidelity and it just, tanks performance for the sake of showing off. I'm mainly interested in the ultra results. Now if we move over to high and ultra, because of course if you have a 1080 Ti you are looking to push high or ultra. Extreme is always one of those things where you don't really want to push it. Once again it's just sort of a show-off factor. And medium and low, you don't really buy a 1080 Ti to go into those settings, so my eyes are on the high and ultra results. Now as you can see, both the high and ultra results max FPS is well beyond the 60 FPS mark that you're trying to hit usually, so that's great. Now moving to the average FPS, you can see it's 56 and 46, so it's by no means super low. It's not like it's in the 20s or anything like that, like with the extreme settings, but it is a bit lower than you'd want it to be. Now you guys will see how this correlates to actual gameplay, because one important thing when you're watching a benchmark is that you don't really know whether it's very representative of the in-game results or whether it's, very different. So that's the settings, that's the preview that we got with the benchmark. Now let's dive into the game to see whether it is actually anything like the benchmark itself. Alright, so here we are now about to go in game. We've just seen the opening cutscene. We're running at 3440x1440, ultra quality. Pretty much everything is on, apart from the shading rate, which we are just leaving at 1.0 times. You can bump it up to any higher ones, which is something that they're doing with the extreme settings, but I really did not notice any difference in the graphics, and I noticed a huge difference in the performance. So when you start this game, the sensitivity of your mouse is super low, so I had to bump it up real quick just to test, and everything seems to be fine after now, so I just kept this in. So we have a flashlight ability by pressing F. As you can see, we are in a rather enclosed area, so whether this is representative of the entirety of the game is always a bit hard to tell. But since we are in ultra settings with nothing changed and we are sitting in between, let's say 75 and 100 FPS, I am so far very happy with the performance. Obviously the GPU is pushing at 100%, like I mentioned every single benchmark, it's very important that your GPU is pushing 100%, because if it's not, then that means that usually something else is bottlenecking it, usually that means that something else is preventing it from reaching its full potential. Now the CPU is sitting at the mid-30s pretty much. Just to clarify, I'm running a 2700X at stock clock speed, so we have quite a lot of cores to work with. We have 8 cores, 16 threads, so we can always see how well a game utilizes threads, which is also a nice test. As you can see, pretty much every thread is being utilized. They're all utilized very minimally, but they are being utilized, which is a very good thing to see. Some are a bit higher than some others, but in general they're all above 10%, which means every single one of them is being utilized to a certain extent. Now, the graphics in this game, they're kind of weird sometimes, where the game uses a lot of filters. For example, when you're holding your lighter, there's a lot of filters on your screen, like, oh man, look at all these spiders. We just walked through the spiders. Like, there's a lot of spiders around here as well, and we're being attacked by some crazy looking dude. I can't remember these guys looking exactly like this in the previous two Metro games, but man, I kind of like the design. They look so crazy. And man, look at all the spiders around here. Really hope you guys don't have any arachnophobia issues, because otherwise this might be a little bit of a tricky episode to watch. Now, fortunately, we're done with spiders, so you know, you're fine. You're fine, guys. You made it through here, you're fine. Alright, so we're being attacked right now. You know, we're slowly diving into the combat a bit. We will be going into a different area as well, by the way, guys, so don't worry. We won't just be seeing the underground, we will be seeing some above ground stuff as well, because I wanted to keep it in the video, because I wanted to see whether the performance was good just when you're in here, or whether it's good everywhere. And, you know, I can tell you that it's pretty good, but for more information, please continue watching. In a couple of minutes, we will be moving right over there. So we can turn off this campfire. Which sounds weird to say, turn off a campfire, but you know, it's sort of what we did. We put it out. I really like the lighting this game uses. This game does support RTX, by the way, which is the NVIDIA technology that allows shadows to be way more realistic. I have a 10 Ti, so obviously with any non-20 series card or any late 2018 card, you cannot use the RTX setting. But the game does support it, so I'm not quite sure how big of a difference that makes, but it's just something to mention. So far, I really do like the lighting in this game. It's very dark, but it uses some really bright colors, which is very nice. Welcome back, guys. We are now in the outside area of this game. You can see it's a lot brighter. The game still uses a very dark color palette, but in general the game is just a lot brighter, and it's a bit better of a test because we can see a lot more now. There's a lot more on the screen to render. There's a bigger viewer distance. It's, you know, it's just a different kind of environment to render. You can see we are in the low 60s right now. We are sometimes dipping into the end 50s, like the high 50s. However, this isn't really a problem, because contrast this to the performance we saw with the graph. I might just put it up on the screen again, because we are now in Ultra, and the Ultra medium FPS was 46. Now, are we seeing 46? No, we're not. We're actually seeing a stable 60 plus. Well, you know, there are some very minor drops below 60, but in general, it's pretty much a stable 60 FPS. The low FPS margin is 6. Have we seen anything close to 6? No, we haven't even seen the performance drop below, let's say, 40 as far as I have been able to tell. Now, we are being ambushed right now. We are being torn apart by some walk-like creatures. I can't remember their name. I do know they were in the previous game. I think they were a very notorious enemy in the Metro games, but I just can't remember the names. I'm just gonna call them walks right now. I'm pretty much out of ammo right here, so I'm kind of glad we managed to get the kill. I do like the AI in this game, by the way. I really feel like the AI, and I'm not talking specifically about AI of the enemies, but I really am talking about the AI of the girl we're with. Like, I'm humping this guy right now. You know, why not? Why not just hump this guy? The video is lagging on my end. I really hope this is just on my end and not in the video in general, because if that's the case, then something went wrong with recording, which would be a bit unfortunate, but you know, it might be happening. So if you didn't see any stuttering right now, then I'm very happy about that. But in general, we are about to end the recording anyway, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's mainly about performance. It's not really to show you guys what an incredible, beautiful game this is, however true that might be. So the FPS, just to clarify once again, it's sitting at 60 plus in general. So if you are looking for a graphics card that can run this game at ultra settings, 3440 by 1440, and the 1080 Ti is your card. Of course, anything higher is always great, but it's not required as long as you are satisfactory with about 60 FPS.
Now that's what I call a blizzard. Can't see a
Alright, I'm just gonna let this little part here run. I'm all done talking because I feel like I'm starting to talk out of my ass. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you want to know anything about this game, me, the channel, whatever, feel free to ask. I try and answer any question you have. If you like this video, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys again for the next video. See you around, guys.
What do we do, Artyom? Should we catch up with it? Look! It's our guys from the Order! Looks like they're chasing that train too. Let's join them! How did you guys get here?